Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. It is a new era for UTSA football as the Roadrunners are moving from the Conference USA to the American Conference in 2023. And rightfully so. They had done everything they could do in the Conference USA. They went 11-3 last year, won another Conference USA title. They have been the kings of the conference for the last 2 years, and now they're taking that next step up when it comes to the level of competition. Jeff Traylor's squad checks in at number 25 in our way too early top 25. And today we're going to take a look at the Roadrunners schedule heading into 2023. Who do they have to play in their new conference, and could they immediately contend for an American Conference in just their first year there? The answer to that, of course, is yes. 11-3 last year, they returned their star quarterback, Frank Harris, who threw for over 4,000 yards and over 600 rushing yards. Zakhari is back as one of the top wide receivers in the country, over 1,100 yards and 15 touchdowns on the year last year. A projected 7 starters are back on defense. This Roadrunner squad is dangerous. And you take a look at their schedule, guys. Obviously, we do not have dates yet for every single game. Might be another couple of weeks, maybe a month, until we get the full schedule out for the American Conference teams. But you take a look at this, we know who they're playing. And that's really what we're previewing, right? We might not know the exact orders and things like that, but we know who they play and what roadblocks might stand in the way of UTSA winning the American their first year, their third straight conference title, or falling just a little bit short. The month of September, though, is set. We do know that. The month of September is set at Houston, Texas State, Army, and at Tennessee. Pretty rough start to the year. Obviously, none of those conference games, though. They played Houston last year. The Cougars now transitioning from the American to the Big 12. They fell to the Cougars 37-35 in 3 overtimes, one of the best games of the year, all the way back in week 1. Texas State out of the Sun Belt should not be much of an issue for UTSA. Army, the Roadrunners beat by 3 in overtime, and then a road game at Tennessee, which could be interesting for a little bit, especially because both teams are set to have really good offenses. But Tennessee team that also won 11 games, that also won the Orange Bowl, and could contend for a playoff spot in 2023. It's a rough start for UTSA. So last year we looked at their schedule, and it was a slow start. Last year, we saw a very rough start for UTSA. They fell to Houston. They fell to Texas in the non-conference. And then they fell to Troy in their bowl game, their second straight bowl loss. They won the conference twice, couldn't win the postseason. That's going to be something they hope to change. But they had 2 losses in the month of September last year and then ran the table in the Conference USA. That's what they're kind of hoping to do here in the American. So the first 4 games, very, very interesting. I think getting out of there with at least a 2-2 record is what Jeff Traylor's squad needs. 3-1, though, with the only loss to Tennessee, not completely out of the question. When you take a look at their conference games, they played 8 conference games this year. The American, of course, a brand new look, right? Teams like Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, some of the big dogs all gone out of the American, replaced by Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA, all coming over from the Conference USA. So 5 teams coming over from the Conference USA to the American. So some of these conference foes aren't going to be really brand new for the Roadrunners. You look at that, they have the 4 road games there and the 4 home games at Florida Atlantic, at North Texas, at Temple, at Tulane. They did not play Florida Atlantic last year. They did beat North Texas twice, 31-27, and then 48-27 in the Conference USA Championship game. They obviously did not play Temple, who was part of the American last year, did not play Tulane, part of the American last year, along with USF down in the home games, and ECU. And I want to touch on this a little bit. You look at the home games, Rice was also in the Conference USA. UTSA beat them 41-7. They also beat UAB 44-38 in double overtime last year. That can be a fun one. USF, ECU, not so much. This is really, since we don't have the key game stretch here, we can't say these 3 games in a row, what you need to watch out for, all that stuff. You're looking at what are the big marquee games, ones that could really dictate how successful this season could be for UTSA. First one is that Houston game. Back at Houston, week 1. Get the season started off on a high. You lost by 2 to the Cougars last year. They lose a lot of key starters, including their quarterback, Clayton Tune. This could be the game to start 1-0. You could beat Texas State. Again, we're saying a 2-2 start would be ideal. How about 3-0? That'd be even better. That can happen if you beat Houston. You look at the conference slate. What are the conference games that are the most important, maybe the biggest, most intriguing for UTSA? Well, the first one is obviously the road game at Tulane. That's the big one. Tulane, the kind of Cinderella story from this last season. Won the American Conference, surprisingly, then went on to win the Cotton Bowl over USC, surprisingly. We're going to preview Tulane's schedule tomorrow right here at the Gridiron Expert. Do not miss out on that for the Green Wave. But again, a road game at Tulane, two great offenses going at it. You're taking down the reigning conference champion, and you're a newcomer. That's going to be an interesting one to see here. So the reigning Conference USA champ, the reigning American champ, now it's a conference game. Who gets the best of that one, and what should be a fun quarterback battle between Michael Pratt and Frank Harris. So that's the big conference game there. And, of course, UAB is the other one. They have to get a tough road game at Tulane. UAB at home is the other big conference game. They beat the Blazers on the road 44-38 last year in double overtime. The Blazers have given the Roadrunners everything they can handle these last few years. Obviously, they're under new management as well. What's going to happen now that the game's going to be played at the Alamo Dome? So that is the big kind of stretch there for UTSA. Three biggest games: on the road at Houston, on the road at Tulane, the home game against UAB. The rest, I'm not saying they're going to run the table, but ECU loses their star quarterback in Holt Nailers. They might take a little bit of a step back. USF, most people really aren't concerned with the Bulls right now. Rice, they won by 34 last year. The Roadrunners going to be just as good, if not better. Not too concerned. Temple, kind of at the bottom of the American last year. They beat North Texas twice. Florida Atlantic hasn't been much of anything. So the schedule really isn't that bad for the Roadrunners. Another anywhere from an 8 to 10 win season could be in the cards for Jeff Traylor and the Roadrunners. Yes, they want to go win the conference. That might be a little too much, although the Tulane and UTSA could be your American championship. We don't know. But the biggest thing is just getting back to the postseason and finally winning a bowl game, something that has eluded them these last few years. The Roadrunners are dangerous. They are loaded with talent. They're going to be one of the best teams in the American in just their first year. The million-dollar question is, can they win the conference? We'll have our predictions for that and more coming out in a few months. You do not want to miss it right here at the Gridiron Expert. So, guys, thank you so much for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Make sure to hit that notification bell because we have scheduled previews for countless other teams. We're going through our whole top 25 plus a few extras. We've got Super Bowl content coming out next week. We're going to have March Madness content coming out in March. We're going to have predictions starting in June. Football never dies here at the Gridiron Expert. This is the place for you if you love football, if you love sports. This is the place. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out everything down in the description below. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.